Hello everyone, this is the Kaijusaurus Podcast, Steven speaking. I'm going solo today. I'm not with Ross or Laura or anyone else that I'm usually with. As you know, if you're listening to this, as you probably know, this is the podcast normally in which myself, a lifelong fan of Kaiju films, watches and reviews all 30 films in the Godzilla series with a newbie. But that's not the case today, and I thought it would be nice to do a sort of little podcast special. I know Godzilla's Revenge podcast was out only a few days ago, but as I'm sure you know if you're listening to this, the trailer for the new Toho produced Godzilla film, Godzilla Resurgence, or Shin Godzilla, finally dropped yesterday. And I thought it would be nice to do a little podcast review. I loathe to use the term reaction because I hate reaction videos, but this is a reaction podcast, I guess. So there we have it. So that's what this is going to be. I'll try and keep it brief as I can, but I do have a lot of things to say about this. And cards on the table, I think this trailer looks absolutely incredible. I will make no apology for my unabashed enthusiasm. I have been a fan for a while. It will be 16 years come this summer, but I don't feel my enthusiasm waning at all, and my god, I just think this film looks incredible. I'm watching the trailer on repeat right now as I record this, and there's so many things to just pick apart and talk about that I don't even know where to start. Oh, I guess a good place to start would be with Godzilla himself. He looks incredible. I mean, there's a lot of people online talking about how stiff he looks and how still he looks and how he has tiny little arms and things like that, but my god, I can see why you'd complain about it, but I don't agree. It's just, the stillness works for me so much. He looks like a moving mountain. He looks like a force of, the old cliche, a force of nature. He looks like nature incarnate, just this huge mountainous creature slowly making its way across a metropolitan landscape. The juxtaposition is beautiful. The tiny arms, again, I don't get it. It's kind of going back to Godzilla's dinosaurian roots. In the original film back in '54, which I never see anyone complaining about really, he had tiny arms. I remember back in 2006 when the British Film Institute re-released the original Godzilla to cinemas in London. Empire, the movie magazine, reviewed it and gave it a very good review, but said that Godzilla has arms like a pucker-arsed T-Rex. And I mean, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, whether you agree, but whatever. The small arms work for me. He looks like his flesh has been stripped back to its most basic level. It's the most minimum tissue he has in order to still be alive. It looks incredible. The design looks so eerie. It does not lose any of its impact in motion. If anything, it gains impact. I was speaking with one of my friends, Alex from G-Fest, about the trailer. He's Mecha Gojira 3K on Tumblr, and he's often a contributor to the podcast, and he said that he imagined this Godzilla to be covered in smoke and fumes, and much like the Colossal Titan in the live-action Attack on Titan films last year. And honestly, I did expect that too, but just because I expected it doesn't mean that I'm disappointed that it's not the case. I mean, this Godzilla just looks so scary. I've never really found Godzilla scary. Like, even as a kid, the idea of Godzilla is scary, especially in the original film. But I've never found him particularly scary as a character. But this Godzilla frightens me. This looks like, gosh, I don't know, just nature's revenge. Or nature has spat this thing back out for being so unnatural. And I get that we're never going to please everyone. God knows that you're never going to please everyone in this particular fan base, being one of the oldest and longest established fan bases. But my god, I can't express how much I was impressed by this trailer. Yeah, it doesn't give a whole lot of the plot away. There's no dialogue. We don't learn any character names, that sort of thing. But You know what? Even though the film was out in July, this is still a teaser trailer. I'm sure from here until July, it's going to be an absolute bombardment. Anyone listening to this who remembers living through, to make it sound more dramatic than it was, living through the news of films like Godzilla against Mechagodzilla and Tokyo SOS and Godzilla Final Wars will remember the absolute bombardment that is Toho's PR department. It's a miracle, actually, how little this trailer reveals, because I remember as a kid watching Final Wars for the first time. I would have been 12 when I first watched Final Wars. And even at that age, I knew every single thing that was coming because Toho had revealed everything that was coming, like how Monster X becomes Kaiju Ghidorah. That would have been nice to not know. So I'm actually thankful for how vague this trailer is. And I'm more than fine with having this much footage, but very, very little of it placed in any sort of discernible context. The less it's spoiled for me, honestly, the better. Because I want to be blown away by this film. I want to be surprised. I want to be shocked. I want to not know what direction this film is going in. And by the looks of this trailer, I think that is going to be the case. The my friend Michael, another friend I made at G-Fest, who is astounding beyond belief on Tumblr, mentioned that one of his few disappointments with Pacific Rim and Legendary Pictures Godzilla 2014 was the lack of a huge military battle against Godzilla, a huge militarized force taking on Godzilla alone. And it looks like Hideaki Anno is going to deliver certainly that on this. We've got shots of tanks, helicopters, fighter jets, huge en masse military forces all lined up to tackle what seems to be Godzilla alone. We're not getting any hints of any other sort of monster here. And if that's the case, I'm fine. I'm fine with that because obviously the original film only featured Godzilla, and one of my favourites, The Return of Godzilla, only featured Godzilla. And I mean, I adore both of those films. Return of Godzilla especially, I think it's a real shame how unseen that is still at large in the Western fan base, because it's a hell of a film. So, and I certainly get a Return of Godzilla vibe from this trailer, in that it looks like it's focusing on how different factions of the government react to a monster appearing in what appears to be a very grounded world. If you allow me to dip into the realm of speculation here, I've seen it discussed online that perhaps the reason for this Godzilla's charred, irradiated appearance, like there's tissue exposed, there's red raw skin. Perhaps the reason for its appearance is that this is the original Godzilla that was killed by Dr. Serizawa in 1954, and it's back and its body is slowly regenerating, and I've got to say that'd be cool. Usually I don't like the continuity of the original film being tampered with. I wasn't a fan of it in Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, when they posit that Godzilla simply returned to the sea and wasn't defeated. But I would be fine with it in this case. It would be a very interesting take on it. And I mean, certainly, as I've mentioned earlier, the suit resembles the 1954 suit very much, especially in the head and the arms and the huge heavy legs. Another thing I'm seeing people complain about a lot is the tail, and I mean, I don't know, I like the juxtaposition of this very animated swinging tail swinging around wildly as the body just remains completely stiff and still. The stiffness and how still he looks, to me, it creates an impression of a monster that's completely in control of what of what it's doing. It knows exactly what it wants to do. Its actions are completely calculated, and it's extremely menacing to just see this huge thing without any sort of emotion, not emoting at all, just crashing through a metropolitan city. It's the juxtaposition is beautiful. I only recently started watching, for the first time ever, Neon Genesis Evangelion, because I'm not really a huge fan of anime at all. I've never watched an anime series from start to finish ever in my life. And the reason I started watching Neon Genesis Evangelion is because, as I'm sure if you're listening to this you know, Hideaki Anno is the director of this film, who created Evangelion. And I started watching Evangelion to get a sense of what this guy's deal is, what sort of tones and themes he likes to explore. And I'm only about 10 episodes into Evangelion, but I can already see parallels and influences in Anno's previous work, especially in the military mobilization scenes in the trailer. Very reminiscent of some stuff in Evangelion, which again I'm more than happy about. I was happy when Anno was announced as a director, having not even seen any of Evangelion. I knew that was already a solid choice. But now that I have seen some of it, I'm even more thrilled, and I have absolutely no doubt that he's going to deliver something spectacular and unique and different. Different being the most important term here, because my goodness, I believe it was my friend Raph, who is Raphalapagus on Tumblr, who once said in a discussion, I'm paraphrasing here, but it was something along the lines of, nothing kills off a franchise like refusal or inability to adapt and change. That's what nearly killed off the Godzilla series during the Millennium films. Those films really refused to adapt, and as much as I love them, that's a sad fact. This film looks incredibly different, and you know what? Give me different. Give us different. Give us a film with a tone and visuals and a story and a take on Godzilla that we didn't even know we wanted. Like, that is so important, because if you just keep retreading the same ground again and again, the franchise is going to grow stale like it did back in the early to mid 2000s. Because to me personally, Tokyo SOS is a very sort of tired and stale film. I like it, but my god, it could have been so much more. This Godzilla Resurgence looks like it's going to be that so much more. And I could not be more thrilled. Shinji Higuchi, we've all been waiting for so long to see his take on Godzilla. Special effects director Shinji Higuchi from the Gamera series, and he's just directed the 2 live-action Attack on Titan films last year, which I know they were hugely controversial to the Attack on Titan fan base, and they didn't really go down well that much among the Kaiju fan base either. But I unashamedly really, really liked both of them. I thought they were great. The special effects blew me away, and I know Higuchi didn't direct the special effects on those films as he is doing on this, but it's reassuring to see the same level of craftsmanship carried over, because I am seeing very similar techniques being employed as the Attack on Titan films to bring Godzilla to life here. The Godzilla here looks like a huge marionette prop, much like the Colossal Titan was in the Attack on Titan films. I'm more than fine with that, because that thing looked great. Also, it was very scary, much like Godzilla here. One thing we don't see too much of in the trailer is the cast. But we do get some shots of them. We have Hiroki Hasegawa, who was really great in the 2 Attack on Titan films. He did ham it up playing Shikishima, but you know what? He was so great. And I also saw him in a film called Love and Peace, directed by Sion Sono, which, if you're listening to this, I hope you've heard about. He was superb in that film, and his range is incredible. In that film, he goes from a geeky, dorky, shy, quiet guy to a rock star, and he completely sells the transformation. And he is one of the most fascinating actors to currently watch right now. I'm so enjoying seeing where his career trajectory is going, because he is a joy to watch, and I couldn't be more pleased that he is the star of this film. Satomi Ishihara is another carryover from the Attack on Titan films. She played Hans in those. And again, she hammed it up a little bit in those, but you know what? The Attack on Titan films was going for an overly melodramatic tone by Higuchi's admission. And, I mean, she pulled it off tremendously, and she was one of the highlights of, again, what I think are two very good films. Lynch me if you like, but, I like them. I think they're great, and I'll be getting the Blu-rays when they pick up. Anyway, Satomi Ishihara. She's going to be great, and apparently a lot of her dialogue is going to be in English, so we'll see how that goes. It can't be any worse than the Caucasian English-speaking actors that Toho could afford to hire in the 90s and the early 2000s. I still feel like I have Vietnam-style war flashbacks about those particular performances, and I'm sure if you're listening to this, you can picture one of them in your head right now. For me, it's the Caucasian professor from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Anyway, back to Godzilla Resurgence, and I'll just try and wrap this up a little bit. The film is so beautifully shot. Going by the trailer, I should add there. The sense of scale portrayed and achieved for Godzilla is staggering. This Godzilla looks like a beast that could bring about the end of days. This thing looks like it's been sent down to hell, and hell spat it back out, and now it's just wandering across our landscapes, aimless but calculated, knowing exactly what it's doing. I cannot wait for this film. The trailer absolutely blew me away, and I did notice some parallels with Godzilla 2014, particularly the shot where we start off at Godzilla's lower legs and his feet, and we pan up to his face, and he's got a very angry grimace on. But you know what? Maybe that was intentional. Higuchi is he's on record as saying Godzilla 2014 is a masterpiece, and I couldn't agree more, Shinji. I absolutely agree, and I'm sure the film you're working on too is going to be that. Maybe I'm hyping it up a little bit here, but this is how impressed I am by this trailer and how excited I am. Like I said earlier, I'll make absolutely no apologies for my enthusiasm for these films, because all too often, and it's often not the people's fault who are doing this, I see people who feel the need to apologise or explain why they are fans of kaiju films. You get people saying things like, they're corny, but I still like them. Yeah, the special effects are bad. The dubbing's terrible, but I still like them. Even, they're so bad, they're good. No, you're never going to get me to apologise for the things I love. I used to do that, and never again. Never again. This film looks incredible. And if you think it looks incredible, do not apologise for it. Because if you feel you're having to explain why you about something, the fault is with the person that you're explaining to. The fault is not with you. Cannot stress that enough. Godzilla Resurgence, or Shin Godzilla, looks phenomenal. And I personally, I can't wait. I'll see you all at G-Fest in July, where a week or two afterwards this film was being released. So I have no doubt the excitement's going to be absolutely fever pitch at G-Fest. But I just hope everyone brings the enthusiasm. I'm already seeing so many people disparage this. A well-known Godzilla historian, whom, for the sake of maintaining a certain tone on this podcast, will remain nameless, posted on Facebook that Toho recently released a huge cast list saying who's going to be in supporting roles and who's going to be in cameos, and this Godzilla historians said, oh, this just smacks of desperation. This smacks of them wanting to show off what a big film this is going to be. Shut up. Come on. You know nothing about this film. We know nothing about this film. Next to nothing. You've not seen the film. Don't judge the goddamn film on the fact that they've released a cast list. Get a goddamn grip. And don't be scared to be enthusiastic. If you love Godzilla, if you love Kaiju, embrace it. Be vocal. Godzilla Resurgence. I am hugely impressed. And it's going to be a hell of a couple of months waiting for this film to come out. And who knows when we in the Western world will see it. I've been asked questions on the Kaijusaurus blog a lot. You know, oh, is this film being released in America or even Australia? I've been asked a few times. I don't know, but if I had to hazard a guess, the Attack on Titan films, which it's easy to compare this film to because it's got a lot of the same cast and crew. It's Toho. It's an international brand name, and they're clearly going for international appeal with an official English title being announced and a lot of English heavy dialogue. If we're to believe what we're being told. The Attack on Titan films got limited theatrical releases in America and Australia. And Godzilla's a bigger brand name than Attack on Titan. So I think there's a decent chance of it getting at least maybe a limited or a one-day release over there for you folks over in America. The only thing I would be concerned about is that Godzilla, the name, still carries much more of a stigma than Attack on Titan does. And especially with it being a Japanese production, you'll get these assholes who come along and think they're Mystery Science Theater 3000 and think they're hilarious by ragging on the film. And if you're listening to this, you know the sort of thing. I went through the exact same thing when I saw the first Attack on Titan film in Edinburgh as part of the festival Scotland Loves Anime, the title of which just induces an aneurysm in my head as I say it out loud. But I was very grateful to see that film on the big screen. But the chap called Jonathan Clements introduced it, and he absolutely set it up to be laughed at, which I thought was disgraceful for an ambassador to a film festival to set up a film that's playing as part of the festival to be laughed at. And I enjoyed the film a hell of a lot, but the film got huge belly laughs for what I could see was no real discernible reason. I hope that wouldn't happen with Godzilla Resurgence, because that would be kind of upsetting. And I'm hoping to see this in UK cinemas. I'd love to see this on the big screen for the first time, even just as a one-off. I mean, I'll travel down to London, wherever this is showing, just to see this on the big screen for the first time. That's my only concern, though, watching it in a communal environment, is not that I'm trying to be a gatekeeper fan at all, saying, oh, you're not true fans if you laugh at this, whatever. But I would hope to watch it in a communal environment with people who are not there to poke fun, is the best way of saying it, I suppose. But yeah, wrapping up, Godzilla Resurgence, I'm so impressed by this trailer. I know this has been a slightly ranty and a bit over-enthusiastic, but I can't really help that, because after all these years, anything new Godzilla, I still can't contain my enthusiasm, regardless of what the final product turns out to be. I'm just enjoying rolling along on this hype machine, if I'm honest. And it's only going to get more intense from here on out. So yeah, feel free to let me know what you think of Godzilla Resurgence, how it looks. Let me know on the Facebook page, on Tumblr. Kaijusaurus.tumblr.com is the blog from which this podcast is spun off. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/Kaijusaurus Podcast. We're on iTunes, we're on SoundCloud. SoundCloud is where this podcast is hosted. I'm on Twitter, and so is my usual co-host Ross. There'll be links as always in the show notes, which will be posted on Kaijusaurus.tumblr.com. Thank you so much, everyone. Ross and I will be back soon, reviewing 1971's Godzilla vs. Hedorah. Until then, take care, and be excited about Godzilla Resurgence, because this is a hell of a time to be a kaiju fan. Bye, everyone.